Hello, and welcome to this panel, the business case, opportunities and risks of investing in customer data analytics. My name is Ame Kwamwa, and I will be the moderator for this session. We all know simply crunching data is not an automatic ticket for success in any organization, especially when you're dealing with customers on the frontier. The adoption of transformative technology, in this case, customer data analytics, always requires careful and creative management of the processes, from data collection to effective use of data grounded in tools that can deliver results, delighting your customers and hitting the KPIs for the organization. Our panelists, mainly a bank and agri-fintech working in Tanzania, are very familiar with this and more. They will share experiences and future plans on using data analytics to support their customers, highlighting the business case, risks, and opportunities inherent in the process. A supply-side lead from the Savings at the Frontier program will also give us, from an institutional perspective, what methodologies have proven more successful in working with different FSPs in the context of data, with reference to the program's Proxy data warehouse. Now, the two organizations who are joining us today. Digital Mobile Africa is a data-driven agri-fintech with a certified agro-dealer agent network, serving the masses in agribusiness and retail merchant value segments. The Tanzania Commercial Bank, formerly Tanzania Postal Bank, is a commercial bank with almost 100 years history serving mainly retail customers, but recently through a merger has begun serving corporate customers as well. Gentlemen, welcome to today's panel. So I'm going to ask that you start by telling us your name, organization, and roles. And we'll go first with DMA. Rob?
Hi, thank you very much for the introductions. I'm Rob, the founder of DMA, and also an executive director. DMA, of course, is an ecosystem approach company which looks to change the way farmers get services at the last mile.
Good morning, everybody. So my name is Lawrence Rusere. I'm in charge of operations and finance at DMA. Thank you. Alex?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alexander David from DMA. I work as the data scientist. So I run analysis on the data and process the data and make sure that it's intact and proper for use.
Thank you. TCB?
Okay, my name is Godfrey Patrick. I work at Tanzania Commercial Bank as a senior manager, strategic and planning. My duties are mostly to try to strategize and also to try to forge partnership with different entities, starting from maybe NGOs, other corporate, or any other player in the financial sector. So that's our role. That's my role. I'm here with another person here from TCB also. Michael, introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Michael Kazimoto from TCB Bank as Business Solution Officer. My duties in the organization is to deal with IT stuff like data, reporting, something like that.
Hello, Emma. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm Steve Peachey. I'm the technical lead on Savings at the Frontier. And I've been working with my colleague, Winnie Omondi, and these colleagues here on how we can improve the data analytics for the Savings at the Frontier program.
Before my colleagues dive further into the discussion around data analytics, I wanted to provide some context to those who haven't heard of us yet. The Savings at the Frontier program is a 6.5-year program that is delivered in partnership between the Mastercard Foundation and Oxford Policy Management. It supports 10 financial services providers to deliver relevant and affordable financial services to lower income market segments in the context of the program. That can be smallholder communities, urban traders, participants of the informal economy. And the program does that by working with informal savings mechanisms, so working with savings groups, USLAs, Roskins, ASCAs, and in Ghana, Susu Collection. I think it's important to highlight that the Savings at the Frontier program works with a range of financial services providers. So we work with fintechs, aggregators, commercial banks, microfinance institutions. So the business models and the value propositions, but also organizational cultures and structures vary greatly. For the context of this discussion, I will provide 2 examples here of the institutions that we're talking to today, so that you can pause the video and look at the different value offers before you follow the discussion.
I'm going to start first and foremost with our partners in DMA. How do you get from we have data to we use data in your organization? How's the journey been so far? And I'm going to throw this question to Alexander.
Thank you very much, Amma. So we obviously from different organizations, we have different data sets, some of which are locally collected and some of which are integrated due to partnerships like this. So having data is one piece, and utilizing it is another piece that comes in 2 streams. Whereas we commence with firstly trying to understand what the program is about. That's the first part. Then the second part, we latch on to understanding what we learned from the actual data, meaning more details within the data could tell you more things that you can track, more things that you can work with, and then come up with new metrics of measurements and use cases. So I think in a nutshell, that gives you an idea of the presence of data, and then onto the utilization of the data and post-analysis processes.
That's interesting. It's very, because I've been to Tanzania and I've seen DMA work, so I kind of understand how you have journeyed from making sure you collect the data ethically from your customers and then putting this data in the hands of your frontline agents so they are able to, profile your farmers and give them a digital identity and then use that data to be able to support them. From the TCB side, how is that different from how DMA goes about its, we have data and now this is how we use data? Godfrey, Michael?
Okay, thank you, Amma. From TCB side, I think it's kind of different. There were 2 kind of data which we are using, primary data and the secondary data. The primary data, it's basically the normal KYC information which we get from our partners, which are MNO, which were previously recorded. Well, the secondary data which were previously corrected with the MNO. So they share the information with us. So we try to see if those data, they meet the normal KYC requirement for the regulator, which is the central bank. So with those information, we allow those members of those MNOs to be able to self-create groups through their mobile phones. So after creation of those groups, when they're transacting, they also provide some information or data which we serve it, and now we can use those information or data to be able to see how best we can leverage on them to be able to enhance the product which we are providing them, or to try to see if we can provide other products, also to try to solve the challenges which we are seeing, the shortfalls we are seeing from the products, the uptake, but also the information which we get help us to analyze the marketing activities. What are targeting marketing ways we can use for them to uptake the product? So that's on TCB side, it's a quite different side approach from what DMA has explained.
Michael, I would like to come to you so we talk a bit more about the tools that you use. What tools have you used in the past for this kind of work, and what possible tools would you use in the future?
Okay, thanks, Amma. the tools we were using in the past, we were access data directly from the sources like database, different database. It's a big challenge because to access that data, you have to have IT skills to access those data. So it's difficult for other departments such as marketing, strategic planning to access those data. That was a challenge. So currently, I've been working with Winnie to introduce another environment. It is called the Proxy Data Warehouse. It is a simple store, data repository that enable to work with data offline. It enables to work with data offline. It will increase the performance of data, and it will enable other departments to access those data. And the best part of Proxy Data Warehouse, it can be integrated with other tools for visualization, such as Power BI, Excel, and other tools.
Rob, can I bring you in here and give us a DMA perspective in terms of the tools that you've used in the past? Maybe Alex can also throw more light on that.
Oh, I was expecting Rob to go first, but thank you. So we have used different applications in the past, and we understood, we got to see some progress, but as time went on, we learned to adapt to what was actually needed, especially in the field where the real work is happening. And so from that perspective, we had a static form of data collection, whereas you can simply put in the KYC, but we did not have a revolving layer on top. By that I mean to reference the same piece of data and add data on top of it. It's more like, say you have a farmer's name and you want to add their age, you want to add their crop, they have more fields. So if previously we couldn't do that, but currently we can go back to the same farmer and then add those details. And then in the database, it would be automatically synced and progressive for different use cases. And so from that, we learned to also, we adapted to developing tools that would analyze all of this data, and also come on to things like analysis that would help us in logistics, in understanding demand, in understanding purchasing power.
It's interesting to see, though, from the two partners that there are no ready-made systems that can do this for us, and that experimentation is very key in terms of how you deal with different circumstances. And then, Steve, I think from the SatF program, experimentation is actually a very big way in which this program has been run.
Yeah, I'd love to come in here because I think we've heard two parallel similar issues that are really interesting, and it'd be good if we could revisit this. What Alex has just said about the fact that you actually have to layer data up is really important. One of the challenges for the formal financial system is all of its data structures have historically been around accounts, and then maybe you link accounts together to tell you something about the person behind the accounts. Now what we're doing is saying, let's try and give an identity to a person, and then we will work out what transactions they're doing. So this is the difference between a digital identity for a person and digital tags attached to different bits of money. And I wonder whether Rob or Lawrence could come in here a little bit, because you really have to attach sort of non-financial information to financial information for your product offer to work. And then afterwards, I've got a similar question for TCB, because the really interesting thing about TCB's product is people can attach themselves to a group and operate for a little while and then disappear. Now that's very, very different from the traditional banking. But let's start with the farmer dilemma. How do you mix all that information you need so that the farmer's money is working better for them because you're good data analysts?
So yeah, so the dynamics are really tricky, like Steve has mentioned. Let me take you through maybe the process. Okay, there's the farmers that we know they have money in the savings. We can track those through the banks. But there are those farmers that we know have money in the boxes, and it's a record which we keep also on our platform. But when it comes to input orders, we need to link that information to the balances in the boxes or in the bank, so that we can see sufficiency. I think we spoke last time of one of our platforms coming up with goals. The goals, Amayu, came through, I think, to Kigoma when we were introducing that platform.
Yeah.
A goal is something that you would put and say, in this season, I want to have 2 bags, and my shamba I want it to grow, and you save towards that. So we collect their data for the order inputs, order information, and the same information now we link it up with the monies that they have. And this is one of the biggest challenges we do have now, because we need to relinquish the money come the time of the sale or the time of dispatch of the inputs to the farmer. And there are 2 dynamics here. If the farmers are saving in a group, if it's in a group account, they wait for them to collect the money out of the group. Now that separates the transaction from an online transaction, because the money is kept in one position, one repository. And when they take it out of the repository, they come now to our agencies, which have got our VIDA till, our DMA, PESA tills, Vodacom tills. They deposit the money there, and then they collect their bags. Now, within that same pretext, we load the information of the orders onto our platforms, so that we can now match who ordered what and who bought what. But there's a bit of a manual intervention there. As you can see, there's quite a lot of dynamics around it. So yeah, so last year we did a lot of it manually because we collected cash and we tried to put it back into the system. This year we've improved it. I'm running tills with over like 40-50 million right now, which means the group's money or the individual monies are being deposited directly into the tills, the DMA tills in the village. And those tills at midnight, they roll over into head office. And my team in finance, they look at it and say there's sales of so much, which matches a reconciliation which we do on a certain group of input supply. So to answer you, yes, there is that part with, there's a manual process to intervene and to balance it off. But it would have been seamless if we had an agents network as had proposed, especially with our colleagues at TBB. It would have been a greater opportunity because agents network is already in the village, and there's no need of collecting the money. It's just transferred direct into ecosystem of DMA through the input sales. Yeah, but that's now something we have addressed through equity, and we'll be, I think, fully fledged on this one in the end of this year. And next year we should be big bang to roll out our agro dealers to be an agency network of DMA.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Okay, so that creates a very rich mix of data that Alex has to manage for them. And as you were saying, Alex, you know, there are just no systems for that. You have to create experimental space to match the data and see what the customer is doing. And it's the same for you, isn't it, Godfrey, that a group of people can spontaneously agree to open an account, and it only takes one of them to get started, and then you could have a family forming an account, or you could have a VSLA deciding to use the MCOBA product, or you could help one of your own savings groups move over to MCOBA. And
Yes.
that means then that you have to manage a process where people attach themselves to the account. Can you just explain a little bit about that? Because that creates a really important data process.
Especially with the way in which the specific use case with reference to MCOBA, the product looks like.
Okay. I think it was last year or 2 years back when we rolled out the product, we started seeing some dynamics which were not normal in the groups. Like people, they open an account, the group account is open, but you can see maybe they just do transaction, they don't continue transacting. Or members open joining, only a few members continue transacting. Other members, they don't construct, they don't keep on transacting on the group. They don't do any deposit or any cash out. So we approached, I think we approached Steve, the SatF team, like we needed something, some kind of analytics to know the real dynamics of these groups. So we agreed on Steve. We created like a safe place where we could do this, but still we had to consider confidentiality and privacy of the data. So we could not provide, we could not provide them the full information, the full number, the full number. So we just created like a what I can say like a decoy, some kind of a code number for this group, so that we could be able to transact. So with that analysis, then Steve started to a bit like deep dive the numbers, do the analytics on the Proxy data warehouse. Then the results were astonishing. We discovered that we now get a chance to understand exactly what these groups were going on. We could find some member in one group. He's not transacting in one group, but he's transacting in another group. That means he left that group, opened another group. Or members, they thought that group was not very good, so they just, all the members are now transacting in another group. So I think those kind of analysis have really assisted us to understand what these groups are going through. At that time, we thought that like the numbers are growing, but also the numbers of dormant accounts are also growing. But later on, we came to discover that no, these people are just, they opened the group, they have saved the purpose, they did not close the group, they opened another group, they continue saving. So we had a chance to understand more the dynamics of these groups on that area.
That's one of the really important uses of a proxy data warehouse, is you create safe space where partners, and this is the SatF partnership, partners in a product can work together, no breach of customer confidentiality. I think that was a very important point.
Very important, yeah.
And it's exactly the same for DMA. They will be doing the same thing, and they won't want the partners getting inside all of their data, and the partners don't need to get inside all of the data, but it has to be organized in a way where DMA can work with its partners to find the value where everyone wins. And that's what this is all about. It's a win-win business case for the financial sector provider or financial service provider, but also for the groups and for the people who use the groups. There's got to be some value in it for that.
Steve, picking up on the business case aspect that you talked about, I'm very curious to hear from our panelists what the return on investment for undertaking such a venture is. And I'm also I want to understand how in their organizations they've built a culture of data during this process. Maybe I can probably start from Rob, who we haven't heard from in a bit.
Yeah, I'm right here. Thanks, Amma. I think this is a very good question, and it really resonates with why we are doing this. We are doing this for business, but at the same time, there is a financial inclusion KPI that we also have, because we are targeting smallholder farmers at the last mile, who in most cases don't use digital services, but we need them to have touch points for that will allow us to get that information and for us to use that data then to feed into our business cases or into our business KPIs. I think the other side of the story is we really need to look at the nature of how we work. We are a data-driven company, which means we make money using data. Okay, without the data, we are not able to showcase to our customers what we have. So, for example, our customer can be a buyer of the produce that the farmers are producing. They need to know, or they need to trace where that produce is coming from, how much it is, how much it is, where it is, and all those dynamics, and how it was grown. For instance, that is the mix of more than 1 million lines of data points, as my good friend Alex would tell you. But having said that, we think the business case here, or the actual return on investment, is based on how we are able to manipulate that data, infer some insights, and then use those to actually create products that are usable for our customers. And like I said, we deal with the ecosystem, which means our customers are not just the farmer. The farmer might be buying input and they are a customer at that stage, but throughout the whole ecosystem, you might find the farmer is only a customer in 2 or 3 circumstances, right? How do we then get that data to be very useful for maybe an input supplier or a buyer, like I said? I have one buyer that's actually sent me an email today and said, can you guys tell me how you are using weather data? Can I get daily data on the weather patterns in all the regions in Tanzania that you're covering? Why? Because he needs to know if it's sustainable for him to actually pick maize from Tanzania this year. Okay. Next year will be a different case. So if we can be able to use that kind of weather data, satellite data, and all forms of data sources, we are able then to feed into what the requirements of our customers are. Our customers, like I said, yes, we say farmers, but they are actually not the center of where we make money. Okay, we make money through them by us having enough data about them, because that's what's missing. They've done a lot of disaggregation of data. Of course, there is no transparency. There is no access to the different things that the farmers need, which is finance, access to value-added services, like simple things like phone, things like access to markets, access to good agricultural practices, and all those things. If they are not tied together in the ecosystem by the linkages that we are providing, there is no one, even the bank, even an MNO, is not able to actually get that congruent data that they can actually make a good decision to say, okay, can I lend money to this farmer or to this farmer or other? So that, I think that's what it is.
And I think Rob has said something really interesting there for the wider audience, that actually the inefficiencies of the cash system are so bad, and the lack of information flow is so bad. He can make more money from the suppliers or the off-takers than he needs to charge the farmers. Essentially, the aim is to make profit by getting rid of inefficiency in the system. So that the farmers actually get what they want, when they want it, at the right place, at the right time, at the promised price, and no one's taking a fee off them for every step of the way. And I think that's really important.
Steve, I would also like to hear from Godfrey on how TCB has been doing it, especially in terms of, the quality of data they've been receiving and how they've been partnering in the right form to get that, especially because they are a bank and they are heavily regulated. Godfrey.
Okay, on our side, as I said, the quality of data is very important, and then the accuracy also, because we have been regulated, so we want to use the right data. It has been helping us. For example, it enables us to be able to develop other products. They not meet direct another different product, maybe the supporting product would exist. For example, lately on Mkoba, for the number we have been having, the data we've been able to analyze, we see it's possible now to even have a digital purely insurance, life insurance product for the group members, because of the data we've analyzed, because we have seen like these people in every group, they save this amount of money, they call it social fund. What they use of that social fund to help them when some of the members, maybe he has some family related issues. So this can be as an insurance, instead of just saving it as a social fund, you can give them an insurance, which can be assessed purely digital. So we've been trying to analyze the data from the 3 years, like now these people, they need a more flexible kind of product, maybe a purely a mobile app now. So through the data, we have seen, okay, these people, they need a mobile app to be able to use the product more. So to us, the data analytics has been assisting us in first to enhancing the product, and also I can say to able to operate the whole project or the product more efficiently. We are now not just, for example, we do the most the marketing activities we are doing is targeted market activities, because we have the supporting data. We know exact groups which are not performing. We know the reason. So we know exactly what kind of marketing these people need. They don't need above the line marketing. They need more of below the line marketing. So through the analytics of this information, the data which we have, to us, that's, I think, is the most what we can say we can say as you're saying the first question, like this our return on investment. The investment we did, it helped us in efficiency, in developing new products, and enhancing the current existing ones.
Thank you so much. I know we're coming to the end of the panel, so I'd like final words from everybody on what the future plans are for in terms of expanding your data analytics. What would be TCB's future plans to expand its data analytics?
Okay, the first one, as TPB, we did not have a section which deals with only data analytics. So at first, we are planning to have a section to have somebody there with 2 or 3 people only dealing with analytics of data. Not only the data from Mkoba, data from all the banks, the ones which can help us develop products, enhance them, and make sure we operate more efficiently and be able to make the right decisions with support of data.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Can I go to Rob?
I think we are constantly expanding our data analytics capabilities. It's an expensive affair, of course, but we work with partners to be able to do this. It's important also to note that we have tried some products, and some of them work, some of them don't work. It also depends on how deep or wide you want to get with the data. As long as, for us, as long as it has a business KPI tied to it, it shows that it can give us growth in terms of numbers of farmers, numbers of transactions, numbers of people who are actually buying from us. All those things are the ones that then drive what sort of data we need and what sort of capacity. So we are growing, and we hope to keep expanding.
Thank you very much. Steve, you have the final word. If you could help us link it all back to the Proxy Data Warehouse and how the customer owns their own data in this 21st century finance, and what our different partners are doing in that context.
Yeah, look, I think financial services has moved on to another level now that data is part of the mix. Of course, it was always there, but it was treated just as a reporting requirement. Now that we have digital platforms, we can see what the customer is actually doing with their money. And both our partners here have described how they've used the insights they get from that to improve the quality of the services they offer. And I think, you know, it's in the word, it's services, and the service is going to be more about your data skills than your bricks and mortar presence, because, and I think also data is absolutely critical to good working partnerships. And both of these partners here, our partners, have partnerships with MNOs or with banks, with NGOs. And data is, people talk about data being the oil of the modern economy. Data is definitely the oil for modern partnership banking. And that's what SatF has always been about.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for making time for this conversation, and especially the insightful positions you've all brought from your organization's experiences in the data journey. We hope our audience have found this really helpful as they either begin their data analytics journey or will take something from this that would enable their journey become easier and better. Because from what we know, it's not a straightforward route. There's a lot of experimentation happening. Thank you once again for your time, and we hope you enjoyed this. Bye.